Hello everybody and welcome back to Hypixel Skyblock, and today we are going to be talking about the Archer class in Hypixel Skyblock Dungeons. So I've prepared an Archer guide for you guys for Hypixel Skyblock Dungeons because, as you know, I just switched to Archer and I'm very happy with it. Obviously, I don't have the maxed Archer setup. I've only got 4 bones, and honestly, I could do much better than that. So we're going to be talking about every class and every stage of Archer in Hypixel Skyblock. Before we get into it, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, and we are so close, so please subscribe, and hopefully we can get there by the end of this week. So, let's start off with the early game. So, for early game, you probably should not be playing Archer, because it's much better in late game once you can actually afford a bone meringue and nice armor and stuff like that. So, I would highly recommend you play a different class, such as Mage. I've got a Berserker guide on my channel that's more recent, and that will help you phase quickly in, because a lot of the Berserker armor is the same as Mage armor, for example, Necron, Shadow Assassin, all that. So, I'll leave a guide to that down in the description and in the cards in the top right now. So, let's move on now to mid-game. And this is where you can actually start being an Archer. So, for mid-game, you're going to want to have 2 to 3 bone meringues. You can see I've got 4 right now. So, 2 to 3. Preferably, you should have Overload 5 on these, but that is not required. It is very nice though, so I would try to get at least Overload 3 on the bones, but it's up to you. And I would definitely have a Flower of Truth, because that is what you're going to be using as a left and right click weapon. I use the right click when my bone meringues are not active, and left click when my bone meringues are not active. You can right click and then left click, and that helps you do more damage with the Flower of Truth, as well as obviously something like an Aspect of the End to teleport you around for secrets is always very helpful. And I would also recommend 3/4 Shadow Assassin with either a Golden Thorn or Golden Livid Head. Now, these are not amazing pieces, but you probably don't have the requirements for Terra Helm yet. So I would recommend these, as if you look at mine, I don't have Thorn Head because I really don't do it, but like a Livid Head, it will grant you 2 times extra stats on those floors, and specifically for lower floors, they are quite cheap. For example, if we look at Golden Livid Head, let me go to lowest price, yeah, like Golden Livid Heads right now are 90,000 coins, they're very cheap and you can get them, but if you do have the requirements, a Terra Helm will be infinitely better. If we go to Armor, Terra Helm, lowest price, Fierce Tarantula Helm, only 520,000 coins, but it does require Spider Slayer 4, and you do, if you want to turn it into a dungeon item, yeah, if you want to turn it into a dungeon item, you need Catacombs 26, which you might not have yet, but if you do, that is also a great option. And for the pet, you're probably going to want to go with something like a Wither Skeleton or Golem Pet if you can afford it, but if you can't, a Skeleton Pet is also a fine option. They are quite cheap, and they get the job done. So finally, we're going to move on to early late game. So for early late game, you're going to want to have 3 to 4 bone meringues. This is when you're actually going to want to have 4 bone meringues, preferably, because it's going to be where you're dealing most of your damage. You're also going to want a Flower of Truth, and that is what we had from the last run. You can probably keep this as well as the Aspect of the End for teleporting. And you're also going to want to get a Blue Whale Pet, Wither Skeleton Pet, or Golem Pet as well, if you can afford it. So the real jump up here is really just getting more bone meringues, but that is a big jump up because having 4 bone meringues is a big difference rather than having less bone meringues, because it just makes it so much easier. So let's move on to late game. For late game, you're going to want to have 4 bone meringues, and these should be maxed, preferably with Overload 5. You're also going to want a Death Bow if you have Catacombs 28, because that is great for swapping to it, will help you deal more damage. You're also, of course, going to want a Flower of Truth again, just for that left-click damage, as well as 3/4 Necron armor with a Golden Necron head or Terra Helm. Terra Helm, slightly cheaper, but has Catacombs 26 requirements, as well as Spider Slayer 4 requirements. So if you're willing to get those, which are not that difficult to get, except for the Catacombs does take a little bit of time, and same with the Spider Slayer, so they're kind of difficult, but not too difficult in the scope of Skyblock, then yeah, sure, go for it. It's significantly better. As well as saving up coins for Hyperion and Valkyrie. So the Hyperion and Valkyrie is really what you really want for floor 7, but you should be saving up coins for it right now, as you probably don't have it yet. You're also going to want a Legendary Blue Whale Pet for EHP, or if you can survive, something like a Wither Skeleton Pet, or if you must, an E-Drag Pet, but I would recommend not spending the coins on that. Instead, it's saving up for a Hyperion or Valkyrie. Now, once you have your Hyperion and Valkyrie, you're into endgame, and that is when you can do consistent, fast floor 7 runs. You've now got 3/4 max Necron armor with a golden Necron head or Terra helm. And if you're survivable enough, you can use max sword boots for the extra speed buff, with 4 boomerangs, a death bow for swapping, a giant sword for swapping, and your maxed Hyperion and Valkyrie. You can use your Hyperion as just a better AoTE for teleporting around and letting the mobs die automatically for you. As well as you can have access to the best parties since you have a Hyperion or a Valkyrie, and that's how they're actually going to let you win. And as your pet, you should have a Wither Skeleton pet or an E-Drag, if you have the coins, which honestly, you probably do. So, thank you so much to everybody who helped me out with this video. We've had 3 fact checkers that worked on this video: Big Baza on YouTube, RMR/, and Bamper. I'm going to leave all of their links in the description. They were a big help. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.